friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to mix this clay together, white and this ecru Primo color. This is either Primo or Sculpey, I'm not sure which, it's one of the two. And I'm going to make some beads and pendants out of these. Here are my little rubber tribal stamp. I got this on eBay. This is a clay texture plate that I got at Michael's, and it's just this weave. I have a couple different ones of that. I have a really cool kind of Adirondack real messy zigzag. And I have this other weave, so I've got these two, and I think I'm going to use the bigger one today because I'd like to see it better. So let me get all this mixed together. What I'm after is I want a bone color. I want to make some tribal beads, so I don't want stark white. I want a little bit of cream, a real light creamy white color, and I'm probably going to have to add some more white, or maybe just do half of this, but I'll be right back to show you the mix. Okay, so here's what I just showed you all cut up, and I decided I want to make a giant batch of this color, so I'm really going to go for it right now. I went ahead and here's the other half of this. I cut half of this pack, and then I went ahead and cut the other half, so I've got all of that, and then I've got this little pile of white here. And I'm going to cut this entire pack of Primo in with this because I really do want it to be a very subtle pale cream. So let me get all that done and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's what I ended up with, and I really like this. This is before it got mixed all the way down, and I mixed this on the thickest #1 setting on my pasta machine. So I think I'm going to take a couple of pendants right out of that, as is. And then I showed you guys in the last video how to make marbled pendants, so I really like this mix. It's really simple and elegant, so I went ahead and left some of that. And then this is what I came up with for the mixed down color. And here's what I want to do. We'll just start with this piece here. You want to take your texture plate, I'm going to use this mesh, squirt it with a little water. I want this a tiny bit. You want it just flat enough to where it's got a couple sides so that it'll cooperate with you once you get it on here. But I don't want it too thin. There's some air pockets in there, so you just want to come in and give those a little slit. Push that air out. Give it a smooth. Okay, and then this one's sprayed already, so we'll go ahead and put this on here. And then I love this tribal stamp, and I kind of want it to be this way, but then you end up with lines, so I'm just going to go the long way. Okay, and I'm going to press that in just to get it kind of all stuck together, because it's got water, so it's has the potential to slip. I like to start in the center and give it a pretty hard roll. I'm going to tear the edges of this, so if it doesn't come out perfect, I don't want it to come out perfect, because in the end I'm going to paint this after it's baked, and you'll see it's the whole idea is to make it look pretty old. Okay, that's great. What a nice piece. That thickness is really going to work well. So here's that side, and then here's the other side. So this would probably just be the back, but I can paint both sides and then it's finished. Now I'm just going to tear into it a bit. And then it's really tough to get that torn edge when it's super thick. So I'm just going to try to see how now that looks pretty torn. It looks more torn than this, so if you just take your blade and act like you've had way too much coffee, you'll get the perfect edge. Okay, flip this over since I'm a lefty. I'm really excited to make some tribal jewelry. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I still want to do a bunch of watercoloring too, but for the love of Pete, there is only so much time in the day, you know? It's New Year's Eve today, December 31st, 2019. And I'm spinning it exactly how I love to, and I will be sleeping in the new year, which is exactly how I want to bring it in. It's not the best torn edge. It's not complete like a torn edge would be, but it's random enough that it doesn't look contrived. You know what I mean? So that's going to make a great pendant. Now what I want to do is take my needle tool and determine where the top of my pendant's going to be, and I want to make sure I have a nice thick piece of clay that I go through here. I don't want to go too close to the edge. I need to get some really giant jump rings for this because it's so far from the edge. I just want it to last a really long time. So there's that pendant. That shape's pretty cool. I like it. It's a good start. Okay. I'm thinking I want to try this pebble texture and do another little tribal one. So make sure to remember your water. And don't worry too much if you get little feline hairs or canine hairs, or if you get long human ones, get them out. But this is going to get painted, as you're going to see in a little while. So it's not the end of the world to have a few imperfections in your clay. And I can't see how far I'm smushing it, so I'm just going to take it all the way to the edge and I'm going to try to push real firm right now because I only want to go over it one time. I really want that print to be clear. That came out really nice. And that water's a must. Oh, I'd like to do this side too. Wowee, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm in love. Look at that. So now you just want to tear again. And I'm just going to tear it manually. The problem with this though is your pattern gets stretched. When you're tearing manually, you can do it. Totally. And it looks really cool because it's super raw. But it is gonna mess with your pattern a bit. I could be real pristine about this and put it down, but I don't care. I want my stuff handmade and I want it to look handmade, and if there's an occasional thumbprint in it or fingerprint, I'm cool with that. Okay. You just don't want real loose ends sticking out. You want to come in and kind of tap it down just so it doesn't get caught on people's clothes. But yet it still looks like a torn edge. This is a labor of love right here. It definitely takes some time. So let me get this all torn and I'll be back. Okay, so this piece is all torn now. Made a lot of charms with air dry clay with the same stamp just like these, but they're too brittle to wear as jewelry. They snap too easy. Polymer clay is a little better. So there's that one. Okay, my light's getting a little funky, so I'm just going to show you how to do these beads real quick. So these are, in theory, all the same size because I cut them on the thickest setting and cut them with this cutter. But they look a little varied, but I don't care. All my stuff, I like it to look handmade, like I said. So what I did was I took this nice long needle here, and I just stood each bead up on end like that and then went through all the way with this little needle. And then I've got various sizes of knitting needles here, and I'm going to use the thinnest one. Probably I've got what, 7 beads here? Yeah. So you start out with that needle, and then I have this really insanely sharp clay tool here, and I'm just even making them a little bigger. I want the holes in these pretty darn big because I want to be able to put them through fabric, hemp, whatever I decide. Wire would be easy, and this may even be a little small. This one's a tiny bit bigger. See, I'm gonna need 2 of the same size. These are pretty darn big here, and I only have 1 of these. Let's just go ahead and go with the red. So you want to have enough of the same size. The idea here is to line all these up. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these is just, you don't want to push hard because the clay is going to thin out, of course. So I'm just going to kind of set it real quick, and there's plenty of water on there. And I'm just going to gently roll over each one. You got to be gentle, otherwise you'll end up with thinning them out too much. Plus, it's pretty easy to get texture on. Look at those, how beautiful. Okay, let's see the other side. Oh, those came out really nice. So now you got these really cool double-sided beads. And I'm just going to lay them on my tray. They're kind of tight in there right now, which is fine. I'm just going to bake them just like this. Okay. Take my little tray here, my baking tray, and if they'll fit on the edge, I'll just put them right there. And then they should slide right off after they're baked. So I hope you enjoyed this segment, and let's go ahead and paint these. Be right back. Okay, so here's this whole batch all baked up now, and I went ahead and painted all of these elements here. And then as you saw, we sandwiched them and we got the front texture and the back. So I'll just flip these over real quick so that you can see how beautiful the backs came out. I think they came out really fun. I like this batch. I'm a little concerned about this being a really big pendant piece, but it's a little flimsy and it bends a little. So I may just keep it for myself and wear it and test it out and see how it does. Now these are the little beads that we put on the knitting needles, remember? And then they all got this crosshatch meshwork back texture on them, and they came out really cool. I think these are great. I'm thinking I might go ahead and buy this stamp again if I can find it, so that I can do front and back at the same time with this stamp. So here's those, and then I set these aside. I went ahead and painted the backs of these, but I set these aside to just show you real quick how that's done. So let me get these out of the way. And then here's the little marble set I went ahead and did. I just set a little bit of that clay aside and didn't mix it all together because I wanted a few little marble beads here, elements, and I like how these came out. They're very simple, but I think they're really elegant and beautiful. They really go with my background today. So there's those. And then these are the ones that I did with blue and bronze and ecru and try to think. I think I did a little bit of gold in here, copper. I don't think I did gold. I think I just did copper and bronze. Now this one I painted with the tiniest bit of paint too. And this is a different technique than this. It's actually the opposite. So I'm going to show you real quick how to get these effects, both of these effects here. And then these here, these flatter, thinner ones. I'm really going to have to make these a little thicker, I'm finding, but it's okay. You've got to learn. You got to start somewhere, right? So let's go ahead and start with this one real quick. I'm going to bring you in a bit. Okay, so here's this little element, and I'm going to go ahead and use this Folk Art Metallic Champagne color on this piece here. I really like the effect that I got from this little piece with the champagne. And the champagne is kind of translucent, so sometimes it takes a couple coats. But here I've got just a little bit of it, whoops, on my plate. So you don't want to get too much on your brush. You just want a thin coating like that. I don't know if you can see. It's very thin. And then you just want to run over top and just hit that texture that's sticking up. This is why it takes a couple coats. But this is acrylic paint, so it dries really, really fast. See that? You just gently go over the top. You end up with this beautiful little element, and you get to keep all the colors. I really wanted to keep the color variation underneath, but then you get to highlight your texture. So it goes from a very kind of a one-dimensional piece to a very three-dimensional piece in a hurry, just like that. So that's how you do that. And it got in a few little spots in here, and I don't care. It's okay with me. If you don't want that, you could just take a baby wipe and wipe that whole area off, and then just come in again real carefully and catch that texture, okay? So that's how that one's done. I really love those colors. They came out beautiful. Okay, and then this one, you just want to do the opposite way. You want to get and this one I'm using Deco Art Espresso color. And I just picked those both up at Hobby Lobby. What a surprise. Okay. So this one, you really just want to get that paint all throughout the whole piece. And I'm using an angled flat brush to do this because I want that point to get into those little nooks and crannies. And your brushes will get ruined doing this kind of stuff, but I don't care. That's why I have this brush, and you know, they're gonna work for this time and again, but if you go to do detailed work with this brush, you probably need one that hasn't been abused quite as much. And then you just set this down and let it dry. I'm gonna set it over here so it's solid. Okay, I'm just gonna set it on the plate here. I'll do this one real quick. And some of these textures, you know, you've really got to jam that brush in there, so don't be shy with it. Get a nice little chunk of paint on your brush, but then you're going to want to work it around and not leave a blob of paint in here anywhere, because it'll just take too long to dry. You want to make sure you don't have any of that going on. And with some of these texture spots, you just got to go this direction and that direction just to make sure it gets in there all the way. Easy peasy. I was looking down at this. I hope I stayed in frame. I've been on my own case about making sure I stay in frame with all this stuff, because it doesn't do you any good if you can't see it, right? I like to hit the edges, and what I've been doing with the edges on these is I hit them all, and then I really pretty much left that brown paint, that espresso paint on there. And my whole goal with these is to make them look like old bone, aged bone style tribal elements for jewelry. Okay, so we'll let those two dry. And I always have baby wipes around. I work very extensively, constantly using baby wipes. So you're going to want to grab some of those. And thank goodness they are quite cheap, so that's a plus. Let's go ahead and do these two while we're waiting. And it only takes a couple minutes for those to dry, so it doesn't take hardly any time at all. These just completely transform with the tiniest bit of paint. If you can hear my dogs running around in the background, I apologize. I quite often stop filming. There's that piece because they can get a little wild. We'll watch another one transform here. You want to check your paint. I've got it a little too thick. You just want to be careful of that, because then it'll end up down in there and all you'll see is this color. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to hunt down that same stamp so that I can use it. Use two of them at the same time, because I'd really like to have these double-sided with this tribal print. Okay, so there it is, really just completely transformed. I'm gonna film when I make all this jewelry. I'm gonna film how I go about it. I've got some ideas of exactly how I want to do these pieces, so I'll be sure and film that when I'm ready. I've got a lot going on right now, but I hope to get that done within the next couple weeks. So let's do this big one. There's still a sheen on those ones that we're waiting on to dry. Now these, some of these I textured, and most of them I didn't. I just rolled, excuse my phone, I just rolled that texture plate over top of these spear style pendants. I think that's what this is gonna be, is a really kind of a cool spear style tribal pendant. That's what I had in mind when I made it. And again, these would probably be better to be a little bit shorter and a little bit wider, but I like this. I think it's pretty cool. So look, that just completely pulls that texture out. I love to work with polymer clay. It's been so long. I never want to wait so long to do different mediums, but there's only so much time in the day, and there's only so many days in the week, and you know, life gets in there and we get so busy with holidays and whatnot that just can't do it all. Okay, so that really came out nice. Now I've been holding it by the end, so I'm just going to come in and kind of just glaze a little bit of that champagne over the tip. Whether it's got texture or not, just kind of pull the whole piece together. That's really nice. Okay, these are dry enough now. So let's just start with one, and I just get these at King Soopers. I'm in Colorado in America, and I get them for $1. You get 40 baby wipes in a pack for $1. And then I just take a little bit. These are really wet. Sometimes you can take them out of the pack. I will take these out of the pack and let them sit out for a couple minutes just to kind of dry them out a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and work with it. So all you're concerned with doing is just very gently rubbing that top layer of paint off of that. And see, sometimes you're going to get in there, and when they're really wet, that's a kind of a pitfall you got to look out for with these baby wipes. And it's that simple. Check that out. Here's the difference. This looks really neat too, but it does look kind of painted, but these are very nice too, just like that. You could paint this. Let's do one. Now that this is dry, now that we've got that dark in there, you could take this, because there's plenty of contrast with this champagne and this espresso, that you could just come in and hit it with that champagne. Wow, stunning. So you've got many, many options when you're making elements like this. And, you know, of course you can make jewelry, junk journal, tassel element, beads, whatever you can think of, earrings, bookmarks, some kind of a bookmark tassel. I don't know if this would work really well for that, but you get the idea. You can do so much. So here's with this champagne, and here's plain. So I mean, look at the difference you can get. And I did want to show you, I did another batch, so I'd like to show you. Let me throw this in here real quick. I did this other batch, and I did film it, and my filming came out terrible. So I ended up ditching the video for these. But if you check out my marbled and Natasha bead tutorial video, this is the same exact technique, just with different colors. I just really wanted to show you these two. They came out really quite beautiful, and I did the same thing. I just went ahead and smushed down the marble look that I came up with, and then I backed these with black. I don't think I'm going to continue to do this backing with black anymore, because I don't want to have to fiddle with it after I bake it. I just these right here are a nice thick piece of clay, and what I think I might do with these is texture the back side and then have a marbled texture on one side and then marbled smooth on the other. So I haven't decided yet how I want to continue on with these. The Natasha beads, they kind of need to be backed, because if you do them so thick that it's all Natasha all the way through, then you're losing another 1 to 2 beads that you could be slicing off of that, and it just seems like a terrible waste to me to do it that way. So I probably will always go ahead and back the Natasha beads. And I just don't really like the look of running a piece of clay around these, and maybe I'll change my mind in the future. I'm very strongly just considering painting the edges all one solid color. I'm not sure. I'm undecided at this point. And I only have a few Natasha beads for this batch here. I just have the 3 because I'm in love with the marble. So I did a lot more marble, and this right here, this whole idea for this pendant, I went ahead and put a hole in the top, and then I poked 3 holes in the bottom because I want the necklace to start up here, and then I want to be able to hang dangles off of this. So I try to think ahead when I'm making these of how I want this to be when it's all said and done, so that I don't have to drill. But you can always change your mind after it's baked and just drill them after, okay? So this one, I just want it to be a pendant unto itself. And another thing about the marbling that I'd love to make you aware of, here's these really cool ones too. Now, I can leave these all matte and I don't have to top coat these at all. And you have a very beautiful natural look with these matte like this. But I am going to go ahead and top coat these with a very high gloss top coat. I'm going to do some of them for sure. And the beauty of top coating these with a gloss is it pulls out all the depth. This will look so much more, it'll have so much more depth than it does with the matte finish. So you have those two options with these as well. And I hope you make some of these. They are so fun and they are just truly, truly stunning little works of art that you can put together very easily. And I will link the tutorial to this style down below, or at the end of this. I'll just do a video link at the end of this video, which is coming up in a minute, and give this a try. And if you like this video, please click like. I'm trying to get the YouTube algorithm to play my videos more. So by clicking like, that happens. So I would appreciate that so, so much. And I have a lot of art tutorials that I've already created, and I have a lot more coming. So please subscribe as well. I guess that will cover it for today, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.